Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nathan Hamilton from Son of Celluloid here with Mr. Doug Bradley, Pinhead himself. How you doing today?
I'm very well.
You been enjoying the convention?
I am, yes.
Awesome. Oh, God, I'm having a great time.
Good thing.
Now, you have, of course, worked with Clive almost since the beginning of his career.
Almost since the beginning of time.
Yes. How has working with him changed over the years? Is it the same guy always been? Or?
I haven't worked directly with him, actually, since Nightbreed.
Really?
So, I worked with him principally over a 16, 17-year period doing theatre, and then Hellraiser, Hellbound, Nightbreed, intermittently through the Hellraiser movies, because he was more or less involved in later movies, executive producer on Hellraiser 4 and so forth. But the last time he actually directed me was on Nightbreed.
Okay.
But working with Clive has always been great, stimulating and exciting, and add more words there.
Right.
It's maybe no mistake that I think I produced some of my best work working with him, both in the theatre and on screen. He is inspirational, and his enthusiasm and his excitement, his vision, his imagination rubs off on you as an actor.
Okay. Now, at first, of course, the role you're most famous for playing is Pinhead.
Excuse my product placement.
Go for it.
I am not sponsored by Coca-Cola.
I am, however. Now,
I'm just thirsty.
At the beginning, he was not considered the star of the franchise. He was actually just lead Cenobite at the beginning. At what point did you guys realize he's now the star of the series?
That's going to be a question for Clive, really, to be honest.
Okay.
The character had no name in the Hellbound Heart or in any of the Hellraiser films, actually. He was credited as Pinhead on Hellbound, and subsequently, and everybody knows him as Pinhead. It was a name, all the Cenobite names were given to us by the special effects makeup crew on Hellraiser, because it was no good for them being, talking about the lead Cenobite number 1, etc.
Right.
They had to call us something, so they gave us the names,
Okay.
Pinhead, Butterball, Chatterer. But certainly in my mind, as regards the character, he has no name.
Okay.
And he's never been called Pinhead in any of the movies. I think he was called a Pinhead once, but that's a different thing.
Right.
If you called him Pinhead, he wouldn't respond. He might.
That's interesting.
He might tear your soul apart,
Just
but
might.
He wouldn't respond to the name.
Now, a question I got sent from one of the readers. What are your feelings on Pinhead being basically an icon for the bondage and fetish community?
Oh, good Lord. Good luck to the bondage and fetish community is what I would say. Remember your safe words.
Now, throughout the years, of course, there's been great advances in makeup and everything. Did the Pinhead makeup get easier to wear over the years?
No.
It's always been the same hell.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, Nightbreed, which is, of course, the movie we're here talking mainly about. Why did they dub your voice in that movie?
It really, I think, partly has to be seen in the context of a whole series of bad decisions that were made in the process of Fox screwing with the film in post-production.
Right.
I think, to be honest, I got a phone call from somebody in London, from LA, telling me that this was going to happen. I think, really, it was their way of saying, we need to ADR your lines.
Okay.
We are not about to jump to a first-class plane ticket to fly you across the Atlantic, put you up in a hotel in Los Angeles and pay you per diem.
Okay.
When we can get a voiceover artist
Right.
in LA to come into the studio for an hour's work for basic studio rates, whatever that would be, a few $100.
Okay.
So I think it was a penny pinching exercise. I like. There's always the possibility that my performance was just so shit that that they needed to do it. I like to think that's not the
I
case.
sincerely doubt that.
And somewhere along the line, of course, he acquired a German accent.
Right.
So in the process of the director's cut, I am looking forward to A, getting my voice back, and B, getting rid of the German accent.
Nice. Have you been surprised by the real groundswell of support for the Occupy Midian thing, or did you kind of know that fan base was out there and wanted this?
I knew it was there because I've been answering the same two questions about Nightbreed at every convention I've been at in the last 20 years, which is, will there be a sequel? And will we ever see a director's cut? And the sequel, I've always said never say never, but probably not.
Right.
And the director's cut, I'd always said, look, I don't think that's ever going to happen unless someone trips over a tin marked Nightbreed, the director's cut,
Right.
in the bowels of Fox somewhere. Well, we got as close to that as we could, I think.
Right.
Fortuitously, this work print turned up. So if it means that people can get to see the film that Clive intended them to see back in 1990 when the movie was released, then so much the better. So I knew that there had always been an awareness among the fans that the film was deeply flawed because of the utter stupidity of the way that Fox treated the film.
Right.
And that was my feeling about it. I mean, there was anger that they were messing with it, but it wasn't just that they were changing it. It was just they were making stupid decisions to try to make the film something that it was never intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm not surprised that there is such a groundswell towards it.
Now, getting away from movies for just a moment, I've been told that you actually drive a hearse.
I do.
What do you have?
I have a 1993 Cadillac Fleetwood.
Nice. Very cool. Who did the mod on it? You know? Is it a Federal or an SNS?
It's S&S. It's Sayers and Scoville. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Now,
and it was actually custom made for the funeral home that we bought it from.
Excellent.
And she came with a name. The funeral director's mother had christened her Black Betty.
Nice.
And we promised to carry the name forward. So we know her as Betty.
They're fun vehicles to drive.
She still had carnation petals from her buds in the back from her last job.
Oh, wow.
When we got her. I've never felt so relaxed driving a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They are just beautiful to drive.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, we are here in the hearse. We'll be loading up the hearse this afternoon and heading back up the road to Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Now, I was talking to Mr. Bamford earlier.
Yes.
And he told me
Ignore most of what he says, by the way. It's very sad.
Yes.
The Alzheimer's is kicking in.
He hasn't had his medication today?
Well, it is remarkable that an actor of his age is able to stand and walk, but you have to disregard most of what he says, I'm afraid, because he's it's not
right.
The grey matter is not what it used to be.
Well, I'm hoping this one thing is true. He mentioned that you guys at one point were playing around with a Cenobite wrap.
Oh, Cenobite wrap, yeah. Well, that was just, we spent an awful lot of hours. This was on Hellraiser. We spent an awful lot of hours sitting in our den way in the back, in the makeup room, sitting around in our makeup and costume, wasting hours, lots of hours to kill. We did improvise the Cenobite rap, which was based around Pinhead's line, "We want the man who did this."
Nice.
We want the man, we want the man, the man, we want the man, etc. So, it's a good thing, I think, that nobody will ever hear it, but we enjoyed it.
He actually did say you were the best rapper of the group. So.
By far, yes.
Now, of course, you're, like I said, most famous for Hellraiser, things like, Nightbreed, but you've had a very wide, varied career. Can you think of a movie that you think is maybe an undiscovered gem in your filmography that doesn't get that kind of attention the more known flicks do, that you wish more people had seen?
Not really. I don't think. No. People find the movies. People comment on stuff all the time. I'm getting an awful lot of comment and praise for Wrong Turn 5, which I never expected.
That was a good one.
So no, not really. I don't really think about. I don't really think about having had a career. I just, you lurch from job to job.
Right.
I don't really kind of think of myself as having had a career. I'm kind of still waiting for that to start, to be honest.
Now, do you have any upcoming projects you'd like to tell us about?
No.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for talking to me. And stay tuned right here on the Son of Celluloid show for more interviews from Days of the Dead.